I'm Candace.
And I'm Ripley.
And I'm John.
And this is Comicsplaining,
the show where the Canadians have taken inspiration from their Marvel counterparts.
Help, we're under attack!
Yeah, the Canadians have decided to be on fire at us, and I'm frankly not having it anymore.
Well, I'm also not having it anymore. Unfortunately, we're probably not having it because it's raining, but I don't remember last week.
Oh no, I want a word with Mr. Trudeau about this.
Don't you just love that father-son dynasty is a thing in Canada?
I don't necessarily mind political families so long as it doesn't get out of hand, because, there are things you can learn from somebody who's been doing it, you know?
And it's not like prime ministers are the same things as presidents, but that's a whole rabbit hole no one needs to worry about.
And it's not like we haven't had related presidents. See the Addams family.
Or the Bush family.
Or the Bush family. They're creepy.
Don't compare them. The Bushes could never live up to that legacy.
I mean, the Bushes did fund the Nazis, so...
Fun! Okay. Let's start with more fun things and talk about a dead guy.
Yeah, cool.
We just want to give a shout out to John Romita Sr., who recently passed. We briefly mentioned it over on Twitter, but we only covered a couple issues that he did, but he left a pretty lasting impact on the style of comics, and it's a big deal. He's the co-creator of The Punisher and Mary Jane and Luke Cage. He's a Will Eisner Comic Book Hall of Fame inductee. One-time art director over at Marvel, so that's what I was talking about when I said he had a pretty big impact over there.
Right.
Also, he's remembered by his son, who is another prolific comic book artist.
We're going to be touching on him a lot in the future.
I read that what he really wanted to do was Daredevil. He really wanted to do Daredevil.
Did he ever get to?
Oh, yeah, but they called him for Spider-Man, and he did Spider-Man.
He made a really lasting impact on Spider-Man.
He did.
Yeah, so if you want to see where we covered him before, he's on episode 58, where we did Amazing Spider-Man 92. That's the one where Bobby ran off after Spider-Man because Spider-Man had kidnapped Gwen Stacy in her weed shirt.
Oh, of course. Unforgettable classic.
And X-Men 102 with Who Will Stop the Juggernaut? So that was the return of the Juggernaut and the introduction of Black Tom Cassidy.
Okay.
So if you want to catch him up, he's on episode 58 and episode 80. But beyond that, do you guys want to tell me what happened last time on X-Men?
Was that Arcade?
Yeah.
It was Arcade. You are on track.
Yeah, they got kidnapped by Arcade and put in Murder World because the Juggernaut and Black Tom Cassidy paid Arcade to do that.
Like $6 million.
$6 million.
And they picked the one guy who will let you go free if
who
you
will
can
let you go if you can solve his riddles 3.
If you can solve his murder game, you can go free. So, good job with the $6 million, guys.
Well, I think he doesn't get paid if they don't die, so...
Assumedly, yeah.
I don't know, I assume there's some kind of down payment.
There's probably some kind of, safe security deposit.
You know,
true.
half down, half on delivery.
Yeah, still though.
He's walking away with $3 million easy.
At least.
I don't know, I feel like maybe $1.5 million, right?
But what kind of rep do you get when people are getting out of your murder games?
Oh, it's true. Give them a bigger cutback. Maybe they don't go blabbing their mouths about how bad Arcade is at this.
Yeah.
Don't hire fucking Arcade and let them go.
Yeah, right. Hire the Taskmaster. He does anything for money.
So, they were in Murder World. They all got put in, their separate designed areas. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to go over all of them.
It's really unnecessary.
It's unnecessary. However, Piotr got brainwashed.
And
became...
Communism Man, or whatever.
Communist Mario.
Communist Mario,
yes.
Indeed. And he went on a rampage and tried to kill all his friends, and then Scott and Aurora were like, "We love you," and he was like, "Yay!"
I'm impressed.
Basically.
Yeah.
How was he so easily brainwashed?
He's kind of a himbo.
Fair.
He's emotionally vulnerable, and
Point withdrawn.
And then they all escaped, and it was fine.
Correct.
And Arcade was happy, I guess?
I guess.
He had a fun time.
He did.
He had fun, and that's what really matters.
The first B story was Aurora took Pyotr back to Russia.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Where he found out things had changed.
Not too many things.
Well, all his friends were dead.
Yes, but at least his sister is still his regular, ordinary, mundane, normal sister.
That's true.
She very much looks forward to being a big, strong metal girl herself.
Oh, her future is so bright.
But all his friends were dead. They had died in the war. And one of his former friends who didn't die, but did lose an arm and a leg, was like,
"Traitor!
You suck!" and had him arrested. And the guy that he talked to, who I don't remember...
Colonel Vagin, I think.
Okay.
The actual Colonel Vagin, not the...
Fake brainwash one.
Yes.
Yeah. He was like, well, basically, we can't, have you here, so you need to go back to the X-Men.
You have to leave.
Or you can be a super cop.
You can either work for us, or you have to leave. You can work with the X-Men, that's cool. We know them.
They passed the sniff test, apparently.
Or they're also working for us on some capacity.
Getting along, at least.
So Pyotr had to go back to America, and he was very sad.
It's a little strange he didn't choose to work for the Soviets.
I don't think it's that strange.
I think it's just
the KGB are kind of spooky, right? They're spooky.
Yeah.
Right, and also he wouldn't get to see his friends.
And that's exactly, he wanted to be home. He wants to live the life of a farmer boy in Russia.
But he doesn't want to work the life of a
KGB spook away from all of his family.
Well, yeah, a police cop spy.
So he chose to go back with his friends because that was the superior option.
Yeah. It's probably better than working as secret police who's also a heavy.
Right. So the second B story was dumb.
True.
And weird.
Oh god, which one? Oh, this was the arcade.
That was the arcade one. Arcade had a nightmare. So I think I have a theory about this. It doesn't make sense.
Okay.
But it is
the story didn't make sense.
Exactly. It's the kind of thing that I think that N. Nesenti would think is a good thing that makes sense.
Do not try to enter the mind of N. Nesenti. You will only find madness there.
So Arcade had a nightmare, and then he woke up and he found out that Murder World was running without him. So he went into Murder World without deactivating it for some reason.
Well, it was locked. He was locked out.
He was locked out.
So he thought, I'm going to go into this.
So he thought, I'm going to go into Murder World. And then he went into Murder World and almost died. And he was like, wow, Murder World is fucked up. And he fought a bunch of, robots and stuff. And then he found a robot version of his child self. And then beat the shit out of his child self. But then saved his child self from a robot version of his dad.
Holy crap, is N. Nesenti still...
Yeah, I think so.
Because,
2020
Storm, 2023.
Oh, great. That bodes well.
Maybe editing, too, because she's done a lot of editing work.
So, saved his child self...
No.
...from his robot dad. And, then remembered, oh yeah, this is a robot. So he left Murder World and he went back to his computer and he found out that the person who had programmed the whole thing was him, secretly.
Yep.
Somehow, even though he was asleep. So here's my theory about that.
Okay.
I think maybe what she was going for was that somehow Murder World got into his mind and, programmed it based on his nightmare. Because the nightmare was, almost exactly the same
I
as what
guess
happened in
it
Murder
would
World.
be like, why would
Sorry.
he build a robot version of his dad?
Right.
Maybe. No, I don't know.
That's
So-
like one of those smash rooms.
Like I said, I'm not saying it makes sense, but I'm saying that it kind of follows a certain trajectory if you look at it sideways.
Okay, but hear me out. What if we go, this is Inception, and he is actually asleep? Because this would make sense in a dream.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair.
He was actually still asleep. He just went a level deeper in the dream.
That would make sense. I don't think that's it, though.
I don't think it's true, but I choose to believe it because it makes the story much more coherent.
You know,
Yeah.
I'll give you this one. I'll give you one better. Everything Anacenti has written happening inside a dream.
Inside Ann Nocenti's head on, like, Earth 14. Well, we're gonna do things a little differently this week. You said not to get into the mind of Ann Nocenti, so we're gonna start by giving Ann Nocenti another chance to take a crack at a new character.
Great.
Oh no!
With the B story from Classic X-Men 31, penciled and inked by District Sales Manager John Bolton, colors by Petra Scatesi, and lettered by Joe Rosen. This is being done for characterization and story flow reasons. I think you'll understand later. We open on Charles Xavier staring intently at what appears to be a Shi'ar chess set.
In space!
He's deep in a game of 3D chess with himself, which honestly checks. But at what point do we end up with knowing that JFK Jr.'s back from the dead?
Mm-hmm.
A nearby alien woman approaches with her son, asking if he'd play a game with him.
Oh, she's beautiful.
She's gorgeous. Given that he is doing all of this in public, absolutely normal behavior,
Ugh.
he then rudely rebuffs the woman, who's like, what an uppity fucking hick.
Right.
He's only here because he's sleeping with the Empress anyway.
Mhm.
I may have paraphrased a little bit.
I mean, not much, though.
It's not that much
That's
of a
basically
paraphrase.
what she said.
He's just a human and a consort at that.
This, of course, draws Xavier's ire. He's sick of being treated like a slow child by all of the advanced alien races out there, and so to defy that stereotype, he throws a temper tantrum, swiping all of the chess pieces off the board.
Great job, Chuck.
And
Acting
leaves.
like a child.
Lalandra is off in some important meeting wearing her formal battle bathing suit as usual,
Uh-huh.
when Charles comes putting in on the door in his flying egg.
Well, to be fair, I think she's the only one wearing clothes. So,
Yeah.
They're discussing sanctions, and then Charles offers that they should just let the other planet do their own fucking thing. Lalandra then escorts him from the room, and Charles throws another temper tantrum about people treating him like an idiot, and the Empress is like, maybe you shouldn't act like one. You're also making a really bad impression of humanity out here on the Universal stage. Kinda cringe, babe, not gonna lie.
I mean, the sex is good, but it's not that good. Ain't gonna lie to you.
She then briefly accosts a passing plumber, Chakra, asking what she's up to before volunteering her boo to go along on the plumber's journey to the spigot at the end of the desert because he could use some fresh air, and while what he could really use is to touch some fucking grass, sand is going to have to do.
I didn't realize plumbing was a good distraction for a man who can't walk.
Well, he's got his little hover putt-putt, little hover gator.
True.
The two of them set off, and he asks if she doesn't find it humiliating to be a plumber here among the representatives of the most advanced races in the universe.
Why?
Chuck, you don't know anything about plumbers.
You don't realize
Plumbers-
she's getting paid better than everyone else in that.
Plumbers are so fucking highly trained.
Here's something, though. I'm actually gonna give Ann Nocenti this moment of cuttingly accurate characterization, because it truly is feast or famine with this broad, because that is the most New England old money
yeah.
shit I have ever fucking heard.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that's out of character for him, I'm just saying that
He
he's...
doesn't
He's
know.
wrong.
Well, he's a fucking rich Fuck!
You know, for a mind reader, he's kind of an idiot.
Right.
That's amazing characterization. Excellent. Chakra then openly laughs at the question like, yeah, okay, everyone's a big man until you flush the toilet and the shit don't go. These nerds all depend on me. And she jubilantly dashes across the desert, beginning to feel slightly lightheaded, finally explaining to Charles that they just need to take a little drag of supplemental oxygen. She lifts the mask to her face to take a drag, only to realize with chagrin that she forgot to fill the tanks.
Whoops!
Oh boy.
Professor X suggests they turn back when Chakra spots a meteor shower running further into the desert. Chuck shouts his concerns about their dying by meteor smooshing, but he still puts along behind her as they finally make it to the spigot. Huffing and panting, he yet again urges her back. Chakra just insists he look up at the sky. At first he has no desire to do any such thing, but finally does, all of the anger in his face melting away at the wonder of the star shower up above them.
Ah, what a way to die.
The plumber then gets to work on the spigot. Spotting the oxygen hose hooked up, she finally feeds Chuck some much-needed air, and the two talk a bit more. Charles is still in his old money-ass mindset, like, why do you pretend to be a plumber? He still doesn't fucking get it. If you don't want to be treated like a stupid child, maybe you need to listen to what people tell you, huh, Moneybags?
Mm-hmm.
Charles, you're a mind reader! How do you not understand this?
And Chakra's like, I am a plumber, and I'm proud of it. I do the things that need to be done, and I'm out here living. Maybe that's the smart thing.
Also, she's probably getting paid a fortune.
Oh, you bet it. She's the royal plumber. Maybe the smart thing is just accepting yourself as you are, whatever your role in things are, with a measure of grace and peace. The world needs plumbers, too. It seems Lalandra might have been right about her mans, because once he returns, he finds the kid from earlier and asks for a game of chess from the young scamp. The Majestrix approvingly gives him a kiss, and we move along to X-Men 125 from June of 1979, written by Chris Claremont, penciled by John Byrne, inked by Terry Austin, colored by Glennis Ween, and lettered by Tom Orzechowski. But first, what did you think of that?
It was really good for Ann Nesenti.
It's relatively comprehensible.
Right?
Yeah.
I liked it.
It had a sense of actual order and
Yeah, I didn't
narrative.
mind it at all, really. It's a little brief. It could use some expanding on, but that's also the format of these stories. So I also like to give a little bit more of a pass on things that could have been examined further, but had to be cut for time, you know?
Yeah, I just gotta give Ann Nesenti credit for having a coherent story for once.
Right.
She did the Wolverine one. That was mostly okay.
Yeah. So I'd say like a 3.
That's about
Sure.
where I am, too. So we're going to move on to the actual main attraction here. That made more sense to put where I did.
Oh boy.
Yeah, the Phoenix puts on a show. The Phoenix puts on a show for Moira McTaggart's probing machines, though it's nothing for her. Something Jean even notes after Moira gives her approval to power down. It used to be difficult for her to manage her powers, but now she's become so much more comfortable and at peace with her abilities. Moira's unnerved, but there are stranger things afoot in her laboratory. The two women unknowingly observed by a figure cast in shadow.
Why does Jean get naked for a second?
I do not know.
Her outfit must be manifest by Phoenix Force.
Well, yeah,
It
but
is,
she's
but
not
she-
wearing anything under that.
She does the transforming
Yeah.
outfit thing all the time.
Exactly. I just
She
don't understand.
chose to get naked before she did this.
She and Moira are
Maybe-
having a girls' night.
Maybe Moira made her do it to make sure it didn't, interfere with testing or something. I don't
Maybe.
fucking know.
I don't know.
Angus McWhirter has seen better days.
Ooh.
To be fair, he's been slowly mummifying for a while now. He's hungry, but he's going to have to wait for a little bit because Jean is having a PTSD flashback to her death and rebirth as the Phoenix.
Oh, fun!
As well as the loss of her friends.
God, guys, pick up the phone!
Before her thoughts return to the happier time of her recovery. All the kind people she met in her travels. The work put in trying to move past all the pain.
Oh no, she's going to be put so far back on her steps of recovery.
Little do the subjects of such pain know, because for the X-Men, it's just a normal training session in the Danger Room. Colossus is taking another turn in the hydraulic press. Despite Patty's wishes, Wolverine again gets it in his head to start helping. Logan rushes the power supply and promptly gets fire hosed off across the room.
God.
Because Psyche saw that one coming.
That deserves a cartoon sound effect.
It does. Nightcrawler just perches on the wall, chortling to himself, as Logan's all rushif. But not for long, as Cyclops then turns the Danger Room's tender ministrations to Kurt. A panel nearly folds him into the wall, but Wagner's quick enough to port away, slightly braggadociously, which only sets him up for a paralyzing sonic blast. With that mess finally out of the way, Scott tuts about the poor performance the X-Men gave this morning. Logan's having none of it, tired of getting chewed out for the Danger Room. It's not like that's real life. He does fine enough out in the field, and then he fucks off to go have a beer. Scott vents a little bit of his frustration to Aurora, musing on the nature of the team. They're a strong-willed bunch, not the same sort of team as the original X-Men. They can't gel in the same way. Maybe to their benefit, and maybe to their deficit. Who's to know? But they have to get better. Sloppiness is going to get someone killed again. Speaking of the guy who killed their friends, Magneto is hanging out in Asteroid M. He is also musing on the original X-Men, watching a memory tape of his first fight against them. He is still fucking injured, so Mags had to have gotten super fucked up in Antarctica.
Yeah. Well, the older you get, the harder it is to bounce back.
And it's not the first...
He's been de-aged, though, so that doesn't completely work.
Right, but does de-aging and re-aging, does that, recalcify your bones?
I don't know.
Great questions.
Let's start breaking his hip and find out.
You cut it open to see the rings like a fucking tree. How old is this bitch?
Uh-huh.
Anyway. Suddenly, to his surprise, the screen changes. The X-Men are replaced by a memory of his beautiful Magda. He then erases the tape.
Ooh.
And somehow turns it into fuel for his desire to take over the world? Mags, please.
You're so extra.
So much. I like to think that's just a way of coping with the emotional pain of that moment, though. As Jean Grey tests her powers across the bay, Jason Wingard sits plotting in his rented room at the Red Lion Inn. He's been putting this plan into motion so carefully at every turn, following her travels and filling them with kind people, conditioning her openness towards him.
Oh,
Christ.
this guy is so sleazy.
He's set up the dominoes and he's ready to tip them into fooling Jean into first trust, then love, and then the designs of the Hellfire Club. Jean Grey herself stares into space in her mirror, despite Lorna Dane's efforts to draw her attention. Finally she does stir, though Lorna's still slightly off-put by the episode. For a moment, Jean envies Lorna and Alex, just kind of out here living their lives. Part of her wants it, and Lorna suggests she follows that impulse, but she dismisses it out of turn. Hard to have a normal life as the Phoenix, and she puts on another show, twirling across the room in a whirl of changing clothes with each rotation. I think it's really cute.
Is that why she was naked? Because now she doesn't even, wear clothes.
Right, but that's why it doesn't make sense that she was naked.
Right.
Because she does this.
Because she could just make her own clothes.
Maybe she had to turn off everything to get
That's
proper
what
readings.
I was thinking. It might have been something
Yeah.
weird with that. Moira McTaggart is even more concerned than Lorna is, though she knows more about the situation, so she has a little more reason. And she thinks she has a theory now for Jean's failure in Antarctica. Her theory is that Jean tripped some kind of psychic circuit breaker, pulling back to what she was personally able to handle. But now, more and more, the power seems to be growing back towards its previous heights. And at this moment, Moira really desperately misses Charles Xavier.
Yeah, sorry, man's not really in cell range.
A universe away, the man himself is nearly lost in the spectacle of Lalandra's first state ball. As we explored earlier, he's had difficulty with adjusting to his new role as man candy. And so, nearly invisible to the crowd or his lady, he slips away unseen, putting off to the library to review the Shi'ar perspective on the X-Men's battle for the Umkron crystal. With the fog of his grief a little clearer now, Charles realizes with horror the amount of power Jean has been left to manage on her own. And of course, as he realizes, he's like, I doubt I could even control that much power.
Fucking making excuses.
So you're not even... Oh, are you gonna go home, Chuck? Are ya?
Yep, he sets his hover gator to warp 5 miles an hour because this whole time he's been scooting around looking like a crew member of the fucking Starship Enterprise.
Right.
There just hasn't been a natural time to address it.
I mean, this is too early for that.
Those
are more TNG
Yeah,
uniforms.
you're right. It is too early
This
for
isn't
that.
88.
You are right. We are not reading classic X-Men shit here.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, with classic X-Men, I could accuse them of riffing on TNG. But this is, like, what, 79?
Yeah, I think so. So, yeah, no.
It's a coincidence.
It's just a coincidence.
And it's an even bigger coincidence that, of who's gonna play him.
Wow, this is amazing all around.
Yeah, actually.
Life imitates art, or art imitates art, or
art
something.
imitates life.
Life imitates art imitates life, or other way around. Life...
Both ways.
They both happened. They both happened. That's the important thing. Charles Xavier, played by the man he looks like
In this panel.
Moira resolves to discuss her concerns with Jean. It's like, well, she can handle it better if she knows what's going on. But she's held up when she steps on something in the hall. She must keep Jamie and his dupes pretty busy with sweeping because she immediately kneels down to see what it was she just stepped on, only to identify the object as a gold tooth. She stares at it in momentary confusion before realizing she's kneeling right in front of Mutant X's cell door. The door appears still to be locked, but with creeping dread, she opens the door, revealing to her horror... ...
Something!
Outside, Jean continues having fun with her powers, walking around in summer clothes despite the winter chill in the air. Now Alex Summers, too, is uneasy. This seems unlike Jean. She caught on to that thought and didn't appreciate it too much. But her internal debate on the matter is cut short by the sensation of Moira's alarm. In a flash, she changes into the garb of the Phoenix, streaking through the lab towards Moira, and then suddenly she rounds the corner and into a whole other world. An 18th century mansion, and she's garbed up as a fine lady. She reels at the sudden shift, and then she's tackled from behind.
Okay!
She whirls to give her attacker a taste of his own medicine and then some, only to find herself face to face with a corpse, shrieking loudly enough to alert Jamie and Alex outside.
Wait, Alex is wearing... Okay, sure.
That's not Alex, that's Jamie.
Oh, that's Jamie.
Alex was the one with the blonde hair.
Alex... Why is he wearing...
Have we ever seen Jamie's hair?
I don't know.
I think we might have seen him in Edinburgh.
Edinburgh.
I go back and forth because I always forget which one it's supposed to fucking be. Edinburgh.
The ways this girl is being fucking manipulated and gaslit is incredible.
I love it. It's because it's bad that I love it, but it's
so evil.
It's so good, man. An ocean away, Hank McCoy has opted to make 2 a.m. the time for his checkup on the mansion. I don't know, maybe he said he'd check the mail and water the plants where Chuck was away, so, like, potentially forever.
Does he know?
No.
No, he
thinks
does not.
they're dead.
Oh, shit!
He and Jean think they're dead.
But things aren't right at the mansion.
Why hasn't Scott called Moira yet?
The phones have been working for a while now!
He's stressed out about it.
I mean, I've been there.
Phone anxiety is a real thing.
He's putting
Phone
it
calls
off
are hard.
because it's stressful. Things aren't right here because the alarm system is disabled because I guess these idiots didn't learn their lesson after Arcade.
God.
The X-Men have one brain cell and they're constantly playing keep away with it.
Wait, so where's the brain cell right now? Is it in space? Is it in Scotland?
Well, Kurt's the only one who responded to this, so I think Kurt has it.
I think Kurt's got temporary possession of the brain cell right now.
At least until the bottom of this page.
But the bounding blue beastie steps through the door, and Nightcrawler leaps from the shadows to jump on the intruder. The two grapple in the dark before Beast is illuminated by a flashing lightning bolt.
Wait, so how long was he waiting?
I don't know why he was up there to begin with, because they're all in the danger room.
Good question.
And Kurt promptly shits his pants and bamfs away, reappearing in the danger room, stammering about having seen a ghost!
Yeah, and losing possession of the brain cell.
Yep, who has the brain cell now? I think Scott has the brain cell. Because he's like, okay, we're gonna go check this out. But, like, of course they're in the danger room practicing at 2 a.m. Scott, let him go to sleep! Kurt tries to spit out what he saw out there, but Summers just writes it off as shock and reels to figure out just what or who the hell is in their house. Which would be less of a concern if you just lock the fucking doors!
And then, unfortunately, Beast gets killed.
He's the first of the bunch to emerge, and both of the boys are shocked to see each other alive. Hank jubilantly picking Scott up high overhead before Scott embraces his old friend, baffled as to just how the hell he survived, only to get the second shock of a lifetime, only after learning that Jean is alive. Still reeling.
Oh boy, it's
here
happening.
we go.
Finally.
Still reeling, Scott tries to get his stomach back out of his throat, immediately asking Sean about the state of the Blackbird. Well, Beast runs off to return the Quinjet real quick.
Yeah, he's kind of got to return. That's not his. That's a loaner. Sorry.
They've got more than one, don't they?
Yeah, but I think
it's fine.
He's probably
probably fine.
He'll be on probation if he steals another one.
That really is how the fucking Avengers are, though.
Yeah.
It really, truly is. Scott gets on the horn to Scotland so they can let Moira know to pick up pizza for 12. So buy the joint out. Got some hungry mutant metabolisms to feed.
Oh no, the phone call. The phone call!
Honestly, I feel like the mutant metabolism thing has to be a thing, though. You're managing so much more energy and shit when you're using your powers, right? So, like, you gotta be hungry work.
I generally think that's a thing for, like, anyone who has special
I
superpowers.
absolutely agree,
But
man.
I think a lot of writers are assuming that these days.
Right, but, like, I definitely see how that could be, like, a mutant feature, because they all have powers.
Yeah.
And their powers come from within!
I feel like after a big fight, though, it's gotta be, like, after the big game.
Right.
When you're hungry as shit, because you just burnt a shitload of calories, and now it's off to the ice cream stand.
Right.
So anyway, on top of the others on Muir Island trying to rally, backed up by a small army of multiple men, and now on top of that, the fucking phone is ringing!
Alex did put on his costume at some point.
He did.
God.
I think he generally wears it underneath because it has some kind of weird containy thing.
Oh, right.
Otherwise the living pharaoh will come back and attack him!
But if he doesn't take it off, then how does he do the fuck?
Maybe temporary, or maybe that's a zipper.
Now, hold on. He has a mouth. There are other ways.
Woo!
Ooh.
Getting spicy.
Okay.
Recognizing the sound of the X line or what the fuck ever ringing,
The special transatlantic line.
Lorna heads off to answer it, hoping it'll be someone who can maybe help with this fucking situation. I love the totally normal fucking phone greeting she gives, though, just like it's a regular Thursday. Muir Island Research Center, Lorna Dane speaking. The voice on the other end, being her boyfriend's dead brother, definitely throws her for a loop.
Uh-huh.
But she indeed does
Scott
manage...
who?
Yeah.
Scott, you're alive?
But she did indeed manage to get in touch with someone who can help, and so she asks him if he wouldn't mind coming to check up on the situation. Suddenly, a voice from behind her rasps out that it needs her. On the other end of the phone, Scott only hears a scream before the line goes dead.
Scott,
Dun, dun, dun.
this is why you don't hold off on phone calls.
Is it? Well,
It's always more awkward if you wait, though.
true, but are they more likely to be under attack if you put up a phone call?
Yes.
So what do you guys rate that?
I think it kind of depends on how this all plays out. We're on the roller coaster.
3.
Honestly, I really loved it. I can't give it a 5 because it's missing that certain je ne sais quoi.
I was kind of between 3 and 4, but it's just set up. So
I feel like the setup could either go really well or really bad. And
The setup, the feeling of building tension, though. And
yeah.
everybody's noticing something's wrong with Jean.
Mhm.
This whole thing is just building tension, and it's really well executed.
Everyone except for Scott. who only just learned she's alive. Oh, that's gonna be
True.
fun.
He
for
was
him.
worried about her before, though, to be fair.
Yeah, but now he gets
He
to
has no idea how much worse the
he
situation
gets
has
to
gotten.
go through this thing everyone else has been going through for, what, months?
I'm at a 4.5. I really enjoyed it. I can't justify a 5, but I enjoyed it a
I'm
lot.
gonna be kind and give it a 4.
What do you think CMRO thought?
4.
They gave it a 1 because they hate it. No.
Well, even by Price is Right rules, Candace wins because it's a 4.15.
Ha!
Our third story is X-Men 126 from July of 1979, written by Chris Claremont, penciled by John Byrne, inked by Terry Austin, colored by Glynis Wein, and lettered by Tom Orzechowski. Do you know when the Concorde flew, she only flew out of a few places because she wasn't allowed to fly over land?
Yeah, I heard about that. It was too loud.
Her hypersonic speed would shatter windows.
Yeah, that's loud.
Similarly, did you know on 9/11 they were trying to get military air hardware out all over the place on the East Coast, one of those places being Selfridge Air Base just on the other side of town. But when they were telling him to get where they needed to get, they were like, I don't care how many fucking windows you shatter, you get your ass to the East Coast.
Yeah, that sounds like the zeitgeist of the time.
Now, I don't know how fast the Blackbird is
Holy
going at
shit.
this moment.
It is going warp 1.
Apart from hauling fucking ass.
Holy shit.
But that's gotta be a hell of an experience for these Scottish fishermen they give the blow by.
Oh boy.
Because the bird is flying so low her wake nearly capsizes the fishing trawler. Sonic booms following her in her wake. They're coming up fast on Muir Island and start to shed speed. It's a lot of speed. Scott gave Lorna an ETA of a couple hours, and it's barely been more than 1.
Oh Jesus, Scott.
Whoa, I've done that basic trip in Microsoft Flight Sim. You have to be going like Mach 10 plus to do it in about an hour. Yeah, we're not talking about breaking windows. We're talking about breaking buildings.
We're talking about rupturing subs.
Like these guys
They should be
deaf.
Yeah.
Permanently deaf. At that altitude, yes.
Yeah, they're slowing down, but yeah, there are sonic booms going on.
Jesus Christ.
It's barely been more than 1, and they're already positioning for battle. As we look around the cockpit, Logan points out that he didn't even wait for Hank to get back to the mansion. Come on, you think they were ever gonna... It's like, no, fucking Jean's alive and they're being attacked!
Right, that's what I'm saying. Scott is
Laser
like...
vision.
Scott just found out that his girlfriend is alive.
Laser vision. Girlfriend seeking missile. By the time they pass over Muir Island, they've slowed enough that Piotr can jump through a belly hatch, crashing down through the roof of an unused portion of Moira's laboratories in a superhero landing.
It's a good thing they know which portions are not being used.
It's a good thing his knees are made of metal.
Another pass, and Storm exits the plane, Wolverine holding onto her hands for dear life. After setting him down, she gives a closer reconnaissance than they were able to manage in the plane. Cyclops finally brings the Blackbird in for a landing, then ordering Nightcrawler to search the facility. Sean, wait, I'm sorry, does Banshee have a fucking gun now?
Well, he can't scream, so it's not the first time he's had a gun either.
I guess
Banshee, but with a gun.
that's his power now.
Yeah, that's just what he does now.
He just
gun.
Now he just yells at people, but it's not like the screaming, he just yells at them and shoots them.
So I see...
Because it's just like how he does battle. Ah! He's used to it.
Yeah.
I see
Great
how...
sound wave form there.
Because in very new stuff, they're talking about depowered mutants and saying there's always space for them. I see what they mean. They'll give you a gun.
Well, I remember the kids were always, they had to go through the drill stuff with the fucking AK or whatever.
Right.
Let's see. Anyway, Banshee finally prods a bit how hard Scott pushed to get them out here ASAP.
No shit.
Are you surprised?
And Scott's like, yeah, my brother's girlfriend just gave a blood-curdling scream and then went dead silent on the phone with me. I heard it.
After we learned my girlfriend is alive.
And there! Kurt then calls back in, summoning the pair to the base after him. Answering his call, they find Lorna sprawled out on the floor, a mummified corpse draped over her body. To their relief, she is, at the very least, alive, if still unresponsive. With Sean tending to Lorna, Scott heads back out for a ride from Storm, while Kurt continues his search of the darkened facility. Suddenly, a blast fires out from the shadowy halls, nearly flash-frying him. It's Havoc, supporting an ill-looking multiple man, and demanding that whoever the hell is there freeze. While Kurt tries to talk him down, Alex refuses to believe that it's actually him, seeing as Kurt Wagner is supposed to be dead.
Right.
God, we really had to get everyone on the group chat.
That would have solved everything, honestly.
Hi, not dead. You're not dead? We're not dead. Awesome. Let's meet up.
Kurt's ready to port back out of there and update Scott, but there's no immediate need for that, because instead Colossus creeps from behind, wrapping Summers in a bear hug until he quits being feisty.
It's like when you have to deal with a spicy kitten.
And you got the one guy who can deal with a spicy kitten and doesn't even notice the sharpness.
Lifting him overhead like he's fucking presenting the new Lion King. Meanwhile, it seems that Scott and Aurora have touched down once more, continuing their own search. Suddenly, Storm halts the pair of them, hearing footsteps nearing. In the dim light of the research lab, a shadow is cast out of a nearby hallway. Someone is coming. Aurora summons up a gust of wind, blowing into Psyche's arms none other than Moira McTaggart. She touches Scott's face in disbelief, so glad to see the pair of X-Men alive, and quickly inquiring about her boo.
Of course.
You know, it's a good thing this was a friend and not a foe of some kind, because imagine if it was a zombie that she'd blown into his arms.
He would... Well, they'd be at point blank for optic blast, so I think he could take care of it.
They would, but...
Just blast their fucking head off.
And he's like the only one who can do that, but it would not be fun.
She's hoping beyond hope that they weren't the only X-Men to make it out, And Scott reassures her before asking for a very cursory explanation for the situation. But as soon as he gets word that Jean is around here somewhere, he takes off in a run.
Yep,
Of course.
That's all he really cares about.
Does he know what Mutant X has escaped means? I doubt it, but he does
No.
know Moira is looking for Jean, and now he's on a one-man mission to find his girlfriend.
Mutant X don't care. Jean is the only thing that matters.
And he says, I want to be alone when I see Jean. That's a great idea, Scott.
He just wants a moment with her.
This is gonna go great.
Everything he's shut away since he thought her dead is all kind of exploding back to life from where he shoved it deep.
I mean, I get that,
deep
but like...
down.
Ooh.
And he kind of struggles to wrangle it back under control. And then she's there, slumped over in the corner.
Uh-oh.
Slowly, she begins to come to. At first, blearily seeing Jason Wingard looming over her.
Ooh.
Before her vision clears up into Scott, and then she fades into unconsciousness once more.
Well, that's an experience.
Eventually, they come into the kitchen to compare notes. It seems that after Alex prompted him to, Madrox did indeed make that army of dupes. One of them rushed back off to the house as soon as he heard Lorna's scream. She had been attacked and had blasted her attacker, but he still kept coming. And so Jamie had rushed him, tackling him as the world went black, leaving Jamie prime with a sickening, soul-rending pain.
Ooh.
And while he himself is fine, the occasion definitely left the man shaken up. Logan's ready to get out there and start cracking skulls, but Scott's like, no, dumbass, can we figure out who we're fucking fighting first? To which Logan ruins Moira's dining room set, carving a chunk out of the kitchen table.
He's just a badly behaved cat.
He really is.
Don't give a cat adamantium claws.
Summers then finally pushes for a slightly better understanding of the situation from Moira, who is hesitant to give him as much as it's a very personal matter, but given that it's a personal matter with a body count, he does press the matter.
A personal matter that she's preparing a gun for.
Moira finally confesses that Mutant X, this dangerous murderer she's had locked away, is her son.
How could we have known that?
We definitely couldn't have learned that in a cartoon.
No!
This is why we've stopped watching the cartoon.
Sorry.
It was too good for its own good.
It's too good for our own good.
True.
Back across the bay in Stornoway, Baby McTaggs searches for a new host, the missing dupe beginning to desiccate away like McWhirter before him. And so he scours the streets, coming first upon Jason Wingard. He hungrily approaches, but Mastermind's psychic shields hold him at bay. And so Exy searches for easier prey.
That would have been really funny.
It would have been, right?
Imagine all that plotting, all that planning, and then... Om nom nom!
But he instead searches for easier prey, attacking one very drunk Ferdy Johnson on his way home from the docks. But as soon as he passes by Mutant X's alleyway, he strikes, leaving Jamie behind to now become Ferdy. Now, I have a very silly question. If you bodyjack someone and that someone is absolutely shit-faced, you're, like, totally blasted, right?
Yes.
Probably.
Like, psychic shit be damned, that's a fully biological process.
Right.
Mhm.
That is completely in the body.
Yes, he's not removing the alcohol in the process.
So now he's drunk and this guy.
Right.
Uh-huh.
The next day, the X-Men have crossed over to mainland Scotland. Ooh, that's a tongue twister. Mainland Scotland.
Mainland Scotland.
They don't have much to work off of, other than that he's going to be drawn towards cities for a continuous supply of human food, and that Cerebro can't track him. They've all split off in different jeeps with Aurora and Jean searching by bird's eye view. Scott and Moira ride together, Moira toting her rifle because we've been allowed too long to forget that she's a little intense sometimes.
Yeah.
She's just ready to shoot.
But there's a reason for it, because her son has two weaknesses. His constant need for new hosts and metal, so
Yep.
I suppose her plans to cure the former with the latter.
So bullets, then.
Maybe a few times.
Yeah.
however many it takes to do the job. She's a little intense.
You know, most people have a weakness to high-speed metal objects.
Yeah, I'd say that with a gun, most people have a weakness to metal.
It's true.
But it is something that pains her. Despite icy relations with the boy's father, she always loved her son. But despite her best efforts, once his mutation manifested, she's had no luck in helping him. Jane searches on her own. It might not be as effective as Scott thinks it might be because she can't sense Mutant X either. He's completely off her radar. From the hillside, Mastermind watches her flight, drawing the snare tighter and tighter. Yet again, Jean finds herself wrapped in a dream world once more. Yet again, a noblewoman, this time mounted atop a horse, as she, Jason Wingard, and the rest of a hunting party thunder over the hills. She sinks fully into the fantasy for a brief moment, as the braying dogs of the hunt catch up with their quarry, biting, snapping, and tearing at it. Jason then offers her a knife to finish the beast off, appreciating the great sport given by Jean's choice to hunt a man rather than a stag. Though he's still got antlers. The debaucheries of the rich and powerful stun Phoenix back into reality, though, horrified by what she'd been about to do, but even though in the real world she stands over another mummified body. We diverge yet again, hopping over to check in on Kurt and Logan's search. Logan has opted not to drive in the car, even if Kurt is driving right behind him.
Stupid.
So he's gained very little. He's got a little more to go off than the rest, though, because Mutant X's victims give off a distinctive smell.
Well, they are rotting.
And Wolvie has picked up the trail. But a dense fog has suddenly fallen over the hills, and there's very little warning before they're accosted by a police officer. Logan's very thrown off by the suddenness of his appearance. After a moment, much to Mutant X's surprise, he calls out a warning to Nightcrawler, because the cop got.
Mm-hmm.
What? You think Logan trusts cops?
Probably not. But then Logan's senses are completely overwhelmed, and a pained scream sounds through the hills.
Oh, that's a problem. That's a actually serious problem.
But it's not Wolvie. He's actually fine. It was little Tags after attempting to attack a man full to the brim with metal.
Oh my god.
Oh, so...
Bitch, you thought.
So if he was... thank you, Canada. Thank you for torturing this man and putting metal into him.
As Kurt roars over the hill, he's like, "What the fuck, Logan? Will you stop attacking law enforcement?" To which Logan's like, "No, will you call Psych and give him the update? I got Mutant X on the ropes." But not really. He might be on the attack, but Mutant X, or Proteus as he now names himself, is a reality warper, and soon the world around them dissolves into madness, in which neither the world around them nor their bodies hold definite shape, and all sensation blurs together in a rush of scents, lights, sounds, and colors. Logan is particularly shaken, being a man so grounded by the natural world around him, and Proteus is delighting in his exercise, right up until a lightning bolt nearly strikes him down.
Jesus Christ.
Storm continues the attack. She still can't bring herself to kill Mutant X, but she can contain him for the moment, destroying his police car with another fearsome jolt of lightning. Suddenly, she slams down into the ground, or rather, the ground smashes into her, injuring her shoulder in the process. Mutant X has found his new host, and he begins to close in on Aurora, even against her most fearsome winds as he pushes ever forward.
Ooh.
So what do you think of that?
4.
At least.
I'm at about a 4. I had a very fun time with that. I enjoyed it.
Huh?
What do you think CMRO thought?
4.
Pretty much, 4.05. And last off, we have the B story from Classic X-Men 32, written by Ann Nesenti, penciled and inked by John Bolton, colored by Glynis Wein, and lettered by Joe Rosen. Kurt and Logan spend what seems like an endless eternity caught in Proteus's fantasy.
Okay, we found the right thing for her to write.
unable even to express the horror they're wrapped in, even as their voices are robbed from them. And then, suddenly as it started, it stops, Proteus gloating over the mutants as they groggily push back to their feet. Despite all of that, Wolverine isn't done.
Of course not.
Of course not.
And he squares up against Proteus once more, despite Kurt's pleas for him to quit playing the tough guy. Something Logan takes offense to for some reason.
Well, it's not a game.
He's like, I'm not just a tough guy, which is...
I've got depth.
Which is not what he said. But go off, I guess. And he does. But as he does, he seems to shatter into 1,000 pieces.
Ugh.
Ugh.
Eventually he does reform himself, getting to his feet as Baby McTags chuckles. But Wolverine pushes a few more steps forward. And then suddenly he feels himself sucked out of his body from the inside. And then he's a spider lady!
Yikes!
Gross.
I don't have any fucking shit for this. What the fuck am I supposed to say about this?
I don't know, man.
As the world resolves back into focus, Logan is still closer, only a few steps away. You know what this feels like? That fucking game? Like the playground one where you have to get closer and closer. What time is it, Mr. Fox?
I've never heard of that game.
I don't know this game.
Fuck you, die. Alright, never mind. I guess nobody understands that. Well, he's still closer, only a few steps away, nearly close enough to strike. And then Proteus does something again, and then Annie does something again. And now Logan's a rotting corpse, withered away by his many vices.
Uh-huh.
He cries out in defiance to that, and now he is Minecraft.
It's an unexpected crossover.
Was not expecting Minecraft Wolverine in the 80s, but sure, why not?
He's now within arm's reach of Proteus, who hasn't thought to take a few steps back. Wolverine readies to strike, and then suddenly his claws are tearing instead at his own body. But instead, actually, his claws do rake across McTaggart's face.
Okay.
Only grazing him, unfortunately. And on that we end. That's where Storm comes in. What do you think about that?
1.
It fit her Nacinti's skills better than some of the stuff she wrote.
I'm gonna give it a 2 because I think that if I give it a 1, I'm really sleeping on John Bolton's art.
Yes!
True.
John Bolton really knocked this out of the park as far as, like...
That fucking... That was fun.
Styling.
That shit. That was fucking...
Yeah, alright, fine,
Because, like,
2.
I mean, whatever the fuck this spider thing
That
is.
is.
I don't like it.
I don't either.
Or Shattered Wolverine?
So, like, I gotta give it a 2
least a
just
2.
for John Bolton.
But I mean, look at some of these expressions, too. Like, these really good expressions of...
Honestly, that makes me want to give it a 2.5.
Like, the art on this is excellent. It's the writing that fails it.
Yeah.
So again, at
boy.
least a 2. I can't be that cruel.
Alright, fine.
What do you think CMRO thought?
4.
No, they didn't like that. They don't like Ann Nocenti. 2.62.
Okay.
They liked that better than most of her stuff.
Well, because this actually fits more than most of her stuff.
And that's the cliffhanger we're gonna end on. Proteus, Zappy.
So,
For this week, anyway.
Yep.
So, getting back to Star Trek, the next issue is called Equality of Mercy, a name of a Star Trek episode. a TOS episode, if memory serves. Yeah, I'm too much of that kind of nerd not to notice.
I didn't look. So, you might have heard us mention our Twitter earlier. That's because we're on Twitter.
As much as anyone's on Twitter these days.
Until Twitter doesn't exist anymore.
We're up on Twitter as much as Twitter is up.
Yeah, that's going real well.
So
right
waste some of your 600 posts a day looking at our posts.
I think it's like up to 800 or 1,000 or something. I don't know. I'm not paying attention.
Well, at that point, why even bother doing it?
Mhm.
I don't understand this idea anyway. Couldn't they just bot out another bunch of things until they look at enough shit and then they make another bot and then they do another shit?
The theory is he didn't pay his bills, and now he's being rate limited by Amazon. And
because he can't pay his bills because
he doesn't have the money.
Bro.
So he's now, he's got like a cap. He's got a speed cap, and
Oh my God.
if he goes over, they won't let him. So he
That's
literally
so
needs
much
to.
better than what I heard.
He literally needs to use less data.
That
Good
is
God.
so funny. That is the funniest thing I've ever fucking heard. So yeah, as much as Twitter is up, we're on Twitter, we're on Tumblr, we're on Facebook, we're on, theoretically, Instagram sometimes.
Follow us on Facebook and Tumblr, please.
If y'all got a Blue Sky invite,
Yeah, that would be dope.
Maybe we could just start using our YouTube community page.
Honestly, I think that would probably be ideal.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're on YouTube.
Yeah. No
Woo!
shit.
I forgot to unpay our bill, so we have hosting on Buzzsprout for another month, so that'll give anybody listening there a little more time, but I did unpay the bill now, so it won't renew another month.
Okay.
But
So
anyway,
next month for realsies, YouTube
next
only.
month for realsies, if you're listening on audio, don't be listening on audio, be listening on YouTube, where it is still audio, but they're a pretty picture.
Hit that motherfucking bell.
Yeah, hit that motherfucking bell. Comment down below. Tell us what you thought of this week's episodes. We want to hear from you. We would love to hear from you.
Join our Discord.
Join our Discord. Yeah, we're over on Discord.
Please.
Give us some money on Ko-fi.
You
Coffee.
can do that if you want, but
Coffee
mostly subscribe, hit the bell button, tell your friends, tell your enemies, write your congressman.
Right.
Tell John Burton.
Flyer bomb.
What?
Yeah, it's like flyers just.
Oh. At first I thought that was some kind of actual bomb.
No. Just go up, climb up to as tall as you can on the Rensen and just drop a barrel of fucking
The
flyers.
Rensen, that's a very specific reference that our listeners will understand.
Substitute your local skyscraper, man.
And here I thought you might be advocating domestic terrorism.
No. We don't do that. We are good people. Do not do terrorism.
No.
Wink.
Be gay, but do not do crimes.
Wink.
We are not encouraging anyone to do illegal actions.
Wink.
You got something in your eye there, buddy?
No,
Yeah.
no, nothing there. Just it's a nervous tick.
It's time for Thor, but first of all, we gotta say, there are some explosions happening outside.
Yeah, freedom is happening. So, honestly, after the Canadians attacked us, we pretty much gotta.
God.
Freedom, oi! Freedom, oi!
Fuck your wildfires. We're still free.
Freedom Day!
We're free to pollute our own air, thank you very much.
Woohoo! I still like fireworks. Fuck
I
you.
know you do.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're feeling very free right now.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if you hear some distant booms, that's what that is.
And we now play the game gunshots or fireworks.
It's fireworks.
It's fireworks.
I know, but you now are stuck playing the game.
No, I know where we are. It's fireworks.
Yeah.
Okay, where I live.
Okay.
Okay, fair. But we're not there.
We are not. So can you guys tell me what happened last time with Thor?
God.
Kind of. Did we start? We weren't still fighting Loki when we started, were we?
No.
Okay.
So the Loki thing was resolved.
Yep.
Alright. So
We were way past the Loki thing.
I
Oh.
remember the later stuff. I don't remember what the first
What was the
story was, so I need a hint.
Trolls.
Trolls were okay, yeah. Gyarados and fucking
Oh, they were trying to steal the hammer.
Ulik.
And destroy
yeah, they were gonna
it.
steal the hammer.
Yep.
But Thor was so tired that he just fell asleep on a mountain in Korea.
Yep.
And the trolls...
Thus causing yet another international incident.
No, yeah, but then he finished that and went back to sleep, and then the trolls just carried him asleep.
Yeah, they just kidnapped him while he was asleep.
Right, because the trolls are under Korea. Oh, I remember now.
And then they brought out a slab of metal that takes hammers.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is definitely a thing. Don't question it.
Because like is attracted to like. Some kind of alchemy shit was
Magnetism!
happening.
Magnets, how do they work?
Motherfucking miracles.
And then they threw it into the fire, so Thor dove into the fire
Uh-huh.
to get his hammer back, which he did. Then he had to climb out of the fire he walked into.
And because he ran into the fire, the trolls were like, wow, he's dead forever.
And they didn't even check.
And they took off to go take over the rest of the world.
But
they're starting in New York because they just cannot get the drop on the fucking Koreans.
Right.
Yeah, the Koreans are actually on guard. That's the problem with having a whole that goes to Korea. They know that trolls are there, and they're ready for them.
We've all been in the dark all this time because nobody talks to North Korea!
Yes!
We didn't know!
They've been constantly at war with the trolls, and we didn't know. They've been
Nobody
dying.
told us!
They've been sacrificing themselves for our benefit all this time.
Oh, the dear leader has been working so hard!
Oh my god. So they were attacking New York?
Yeah,
Yes.
and then,
Because it's an easier target.
Gyarados' wife helped, Thor...
Because the was it Ulik? Whoever was in charge of the attack.
Ulik kind of was cutting Gyarados out.
Yeah, and Gyarados wants back
Ulik
in.
did a minor coup.
Yes,
Yeah.
and not unlike a certain event that happened in Russia.
And so, Ula, I think was her name.
Yeah.
She,
wow, you got that.
freed him, and then he went to New York and did something.
Thor did.
Yeah, Thor did something, and then he filled in the hole.
They fought off all the trolls. Also, all of his friends showed up.
Yeah, because Jarvis was like, "Can you go fucking do something, you lazy roustabouts?"
Exactly.
You're not here. You can stay, but you have to actually work.
Yeah, so they all went and helped, and then Baldur went crazy.
Yeah, Baldur's back, but he's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was the hook for the next story, wasn't
And then they're like, "Baldur, why are you crazy?" And Baldur just kept saying, "Asgard!"
Asgard!
And so they went to Asgard, even though they're not supposed to be there. But shockingly, Himbo wasn't even, trying to stop them.
He wasn't there.
He wasn't there.
Oh,
He
right!
wasn't there.
Because they found
The place
aliens.
was deserted apart from lizard people.
They found lizard people who had claimed they found it abandoned.
The lizard people, they knew what happened, though. They knew that, these guys took the Asgardians and they were going to sell them as slaves.
The other guys, not the lizard people.
the
not
other
the
guys.
lizard people. The other guys who did the stuff, I don't remember what they fucking look like, and I
Ants.
don't care. Yeah, ants.
Ants.
Yes, now I remember. Okay. So and then they backstabbed the ant people, and then Odin was like, "What the fuck are you doing? Leave!"
Yeah, they went to another planet and they found Odin being sold.
Yeah, because it turns out Asgard is really easy to invade.
Yeah, I did cut some things out there.
You did.
Yeah, Asgard is really easy to invade. Anyone could do it. Yeah,
just
even
take them all captive.
Even
It's
Korea.
so easy.
Clearly, North Korea could have done this if they'd wanted to. If they could fight
If
off
North
trolls.
Korea wanted to invade Asgard?
Yes, if they can fight the trolls, they could clearly defeat.
I mean, I don't think so, because, the trolls are constantly getting bodied by the Asgardians. So,
True.
it's not a fair measure.
Yes, but if they're also being bodied by North Korea, then I think it's a fair fight.
So, they found Odin being sold on another planet, and they all attacked, the ant people and also the people who were buying the slaves, and defeated all of them. But then the lizard people were like, we were also evil the whole time.
We were actually working with the ant people.
Right. Yeah. So that's what happened.
This got kind of unhinged. That's, I think, why I forgot off the top of my head. Why?
Yeah, the last one was just kind of like a whole bunch of ideas got thrown into a stew pot for leftovers.
I'm not sure this is a good
Story.
Yeah.
Well, let's finish it, I guess, and you'll decide how good it is.
Let's make way for the Demon Brigade!
Yeah, the Demon Brigade in Thor number 213 from July of 1973. Written by Jerry Conway and Len Wein.
Len is back.
Len is back.
Really?
Yes. Pencils by John Buscema and Don Perlin. Inked by Vince Colletta. Cover by Jim Starlin. Colors by Glynis Wein. Letters by Charlotte Jeter.
Isn't Len Wein the one they constantly draw with the receding hairline?
Yeah. No, Len Wein was the one who was eating 1 million hamburgers.
Oh, was it Steve Englehart?
Yeah, he has the receding hairline. So Len worked on this one. He did the script, presumably while inhaling hamburgers.
Jerry did the story. What does that mean?
Like, Jerry plotted it out, and then Len actually wrote the letter.
Yeah, we've run into this before.
Mm-hmm.
I always forget what that means.
So, first of all, I have to give a continued warning for slavery in this story. Obviously, the slavers are the bad guys, so you might be interested to see them get their comeuppance, but you know best what you can handle. So Thor and his friends are cornered by Sithgar, who urges them to surrender.
Wrong. Scar.
Sithgar.
You gotta get that ASMR sound in.
It's terrible.
Also, oh yeah, what's his face is here. Despite, just being
Silas
Grant. Yeah, he's
despite
here.
being a boat captain.
He's a guy.
He's just a guy.
Well, he just wants to hang out with his bros.
Yeah.
And
He's got nothing else to do.
Right.
his world doesn't exist anymore.
Exactly.
So he's off in space?
Odin is...
Fighting slavers?
He just went with them. Odin is also still trying to tell them to give up. So,
Pussy.
something's going on there. Thor is disinclined to accept that demand, so they all start fighting the lizard people.
So I'm gonna guess that Odin told everyone to surrender to these slavers, and they did, and now they're slaves.
That's a theory.
I feel like that's
A
not
game
what
theory.
happened. I feel like what happened is they beat them all, and then Odin is so defeated by it that he has just lost all hope. It's like, there's no hope.
I mean,
It's all over.
my theory
I failed so thoroughly.
my theory makes sense. Yours is more realistic.
It's going well for about a minute. Then they each start to go down one by one, until finally Thor is felled by having a rock dropped on his head.
What the fuck?
Hate when that happens.
So I, skimmed this really
Oh
heavily.
my god, what the fuck did you do to this story?
It's not... None of this is important. It's not important, I swear to God. Okay.
So we skipped about half the comic.
Yeah, we skipped half the comic, and Thor got hit by a fucking rock.
It's not important.
Right, but we get to miss all the fun things they say. Whatever they're gonna fucking do.
For Asgard!
No,
No, it's in
don't
vain!
do it.
But
Hildegard, warrior of the realm eternal!
Hogan gets hit in the head, and then Fandor's like, "No, Hogan!" He
That-
snaps his
Birthday,
sword
I
around.
say thee back!
And then he gets taken.
Yeah, he gets taken out, and then Thor's fighting Sithgar, and then he gets a rock thrown on his head.
Ah, okay.
And then
We're all caught
Hildegard
up.
has a thing on her.
Fork.
A fork.
Wow, they really...
There you go.
And
Well,
hey,
I
look.
guess now we know how they got fucking bodied.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it was the ant people.
No, these Asgardians suck. So yes, North Korea could totally take Asgard.
So Thor gets a rock dropped on his head, and everyone gets captured while he passes out.
I don't know if we call that passing out when it's a result of head trauma.
Yeah, I think we call that traumatic brain injury.
It's fine. He had a helmet on.
Yeah, and it's now dented inward.
When he wakes, he is chained to the wall in a dungeon, surrounded by both his fellow Asgardians and a number of other alien slaves.
You would think that they would tie his cape up so they didn't have to worry about tripping over it when they're carrying him on the I forget what it's called.
Oh,
I always say a spit, but that's not correct.
A stick.
They tied him to a stick. I guess his helmet's just really on there? Good, huh?
They probably put it back on because they didn't want to leave it sitting around. It's like, yeah, just bring it
No,
with
it's
them.
stuck on because The Rock put a dent in it that put a dent in his skull. And now it's like embedded in his skull.
Maybe he's just really sweaty under there and it's just stuck.
So, he's in a cell with a bunch of Asgardians and a bunch of other aliens.
I don't know if it's a cell. It's more just like a dungeon.
Yeah. Odin is here, sitting passively on a stool. Fandral is also here, and he seems to have given in to the same malaise gripping the Allfather.
Well, he did get bodied hard.
He wearily tells his liege that resistance is not worth it. They've already been captured, so they shouldn't waste their energy on trying to escape because they clearly can't win.
Oh my god, will you guys just take some fucking Lexapro?
Thor is not having that in the slightest, but then a guard comes in to feed him a meal. His servant lifts a spoonful of a steaming green slop toward the Odinson's face, but he refuses to eat it. In fact, as the smell tingles his nose, he comes to a sudden realization and decides to act. He kicks the slave holding the bowl out of the way, then wraps his thunder thighs around the guard, and slams his head into the concrete wall at his back.
Did he really have to kick the slave?
I mean, no.
Rude.
With that done, he flexes his powerful wrists and pulls his restraints out of the wall, freeing himself. Thor bends down to examine the discarded gruel. It's just as he thought. The food contains some kind of mind control agent, designed to keep the slaves complacent.
So that makes sense.
So it's anti-Lexapro.
Knowing this, he decides to leave his compatriots for now and ascend the steps to deal with the other guards.
I mean, this helps explain one part of it. It doesn't help Odin explain how Odin lost.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Gotta wait for those guys who gotta sober up before they can come fight.
Exactly. He dispatches them easily, but is distracted from his vengeance by a familiar voice. As he turns to find the source, he discovers that Hildegard and Tananile have been imprisoned separately from the menfolk, and thus have yet to be fed the mind-numbing gruel.
Okay.
Oh shit, girl power!
Hell yeah!
Shame Sif isn't here, because Sif never gets to do any girl power!
No. Sif and girl power never go together.
The Thunder God frees them, and they all proceed down the hallway in search of daylight. Soon the ancient tunnels of the dungeon give way to a sleek, futuristic area, and their way forward is barred by a huge door. "Welp, it's over," declares Tana. "That's a foot of Mondurian steel, and even a company of Rigelian warships would struggle to dent that."
Well, here's the thing. It may be a super cool door. How cool is the wall next to it?
I think that's too clever for this comic.
And it's too clever for Thor, for sure. For Thor and Hildy, I don't think so.
Yeah, they never would have gotten there.
No, they absolutely fit into, like, the himbo energy shared.
Yeah, it's a fucking echo chamber.
They attack the door, because the door is what you attack.
It's a feedback loop.
Well, Thor says that's a fun challenge.
Of course he does!
He and Hildy grab the bottom of the door and crumple it like it's fucking nothing.
How did they lose?
This is fucking excellent Asgardian fucking frat bro shit.
I love them.
How did they lose?
Well, Thor wasn't there. And neither was Hildy.
I love when the Asgardians
No, but I mean when they did attack, how did they lose?
I don't know, dude. Finally, they arrive in the marketplace, where the bustling crowd affords them some measure of cover. They proceed down a shadowy alley, where they are called to by a small orange alien.
He's just a little guy.
He is just a little guy.
Little guy.
Thor is not in the mood to deal with any more aliens, but this guy is a fast talker. His name is Gregor, and he wants to facilitate an exchange of ideas so that both he and the Asgardians can get what they want. The trio follow Gregor across town to the slums, and then into a hidden cavern, where he introduces them to a resistance movement of sorts. Many different shapes and colors of people live down here, away from the influence of Sithgar and his slave trade. Scar.
Sithgar.
An elderly blue man approaches to speak with the God of Thunder, explaining to him their situation. This planet, called Golden Star, was once a utopia-like civilization of many varied cultures and identities. That is, until the insectoid Vrelnexians and Sithgar the Lizard Lord invaded.
Everything was going great till the Fire Nation attacked.
Yep.
You never expect the Fire Nation.
They ran roughshod over the peaceful people of Golden Star, killing many and subjugating the rest. The planet was turned into a slave trading port, and the citizens who did not get auctioned off were left to wallow in squalor. This is why they need Thor's help, and surely he, a mighty and just god, would not deny them.
Okay, so these aren't escaped slaves, these are the past denizens of Golden Star?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course he wouldn't. A god of any worth can never turn a blind eye to those who ask him for help. So he sits down with his hosts, and they begin planning. He explains to them what he knows about the drug used to sedate the slaves, and they begin to explain what they know about where the other Asgardians are being held. And then soon, it's time for a heist.
A heist? I did not expect a heist from
I don't
Thor.
know, I feel like we don't have enough of a cast of characters to pull off a heist.
I don't know, we got a lot of people.
There's a lot of people, but...
There's a lot of people, but none of them are, like, established dudes with, like, a personality and a thing.
Well, we got Tana and Hildy.
Right, we got a couple people, but is that really a heist?
I don't know. Two groups travel over the rooftops in the dark, parting to see to their tasks. Thor, Hildy, and Tana make for Sithgar's base of operations. They climb down the outer wall, Tana clinging to the Thunder God's back, until they reach an open floor, where they are spotted by several lizard men.
So this is going well.
Thor swings in, taking down the guards to allow Tana to slip away through the building. He and Hildegard proceed to the Great Hall, where Sithgar celebrates his victory. The Lizard Lord raises his cup in a toast, only to be cut off as a blade presses to his throat. Hildy holds him as Thor attacks the feast attendants, yelling and flipping tables with gleeful abandon.
You know, I feel like there's very much they're treating the fact that these are gods very differently.
Yeah, Jerry takes the godhood differently, for sure.
Feels more almost MCU, they're basically just aliens perspective.
Fucking early MCU.
Yeah, early MCU.
Tana arrives, chastising him for being loud and attracting attention. But the good news is, she found all the Asgardians.
Oh, good. She didn't just, like, look down the hall from where she was before?
Nope. Now they all travel to the marina, where the Asgardian longship is still docked. Hildy keeps Sithgar at the mercy of her sword to ensure their safe passage.
Fuck, this story just ended out of nowhere.
We're not done. Before they leave, however, she has one question for the Lizard Lord. What did he do with Sif? Sithgar acts dumb. I don't know. She wasn't with the others. You're all doomed anyway, because as soon as you leave, I'll chase you down. A bold stance for someone who could literally be killed at any moment. But they don't need to kill him. At that very moment, a building on the horizon explodes. The factory, which created the mind-addling drug, destroyed by Gregor and his associates. Sithgar cries out in frustration, knowing that once the slaves break out of their stupor, the whole planet will turn on him. He begs Thor to pity him, even bartering with the knowledge that he desires, that Sif and Carnella were sold just before they arrived, to miners from the Black Nebula. Surely this is payment enough for passage, but the God of Thunder refuses. There's no room in the heavens, nor anywhere else, for a man such as him.
There's not even room on the boat.
The Asgardians take off across space, leaving the Lord of the Lizards to reap his just deserts.
Wow, they really did leave him to get torn up to shreds.
Good.
Good. He's a slaver. He deserves it.
Yeah.
Fucking.
So, what'd you guys think of that one?
That timing was fucked.
Yeah,
I mean, it doesn't help that we skipped half the book, but it wasn't a very good half of the book.
I don't hate this story, but I wish it was longer.
Yeah.
Like, I wish this was spread out over 2 issues, at least.
I'm gonna give this a very unenthusiastic 3.
Same.
Yeah.
It's... I don't like this whole... They're just dudes treatment of the Asgardians.
And they could just get fucking bodied by a bunch of lizard people.
That
Yeah.
is so lame.
It's so lame.
And all the Asgardians fit on that fucking longship? All
Yeah.
of them? The whole fucking...
Yeah, the whole race.
Fuck you.
Well, they don't have any women right now, so...
Oh, right. There are, like, there's,
3.
3.
If you count Carnilla.
Can we?
In theory.
Sure.
And again, it's not like Thor has a mother yet.
No.
Single dad Odin is really killing it with the parenting.
It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. There's no reason why all of Asgard could have lost to these dudes. They're supposed to be, like, fucking warrior gods.
They're lame. They're not even, like, cool dudes.
It sucks. It's bad, Jerry. It's bad. I think the thing that made this issue good for me is definitely not Jerry's input, but Len's.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I really like the writing on, like, the text shit from Scar.
Yeah.
Like, that sounds
No,
really
wait,
good.
you can't abandon me like this. Come back. I command you, come back. You can't do this, you hear me? I'm Scar, Lord of the Lizards. Don't you understand? I am king.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's nice to see him break,
Yeah, that's satisfying.
but this should never have happened in the first place.
This was lame.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
3 stars. Okay, what else we got?
And 3 is being generous.
Next, we have Thor number...
Oh, motherfucker, this bitch again!
You! Go away! Please!
Thermodynamic men.
No, wrong.
Take 2 is back.
Oh, yeah, true. Thor number 214 from August of 1973. Wait, no. From May of 1973. I think I did the last date wrong. Oh, well. Written by Jerry Conway, penciled by Sal Buscema, inked by Jim Mooney, colored by Petra Scatezzi, lettered by John Costanza, and cover art by Rich Buckler. Thor and co. are on a mission to save Sif and Carnilla.
And
This page is busy and yellow.
And they've brought their entire civilization with them.
Our first few pages here include a quick rundown of our characters, which includes Thor, Odin, Heimdall, Fandral, Hogan, Hildegard, and Tananile.
This is lame.
And also Silas, who isn't actually mentioned in the text, but is there.
Yeah, there he is! He's in the background! Silas Grant is
This
just
is fucking
here.
lame.
Why? Wait.
Why?
Why do we have to start? This is the lamest way to intro something. Like, if we want to cover back shit, or do we just sit here? Here's the assembled cast. Here's what their deal is. That's fucking lame.
Come to think of it, this page feels like a throwback.
This is fucking lame, Jerry.
Tana, who is not in the loop on the current happenings, asks Hildy to explain the situation to her. The Valkyrie recaps everything that happened with Sif's disappearance, from Loki showing up in Rutland to Sithgar telling them that the 2 women were sold to miners from the Black Nebula. None of this is new to us, but she also mentioned that they dropped off the rest of the Asgardians back home,
Okay,
so that's a nice bit of continuity.
so that isn't their entire civilization.
No,
That would have been hilarious if that was it.
they dropped them off, it's fine.
Dark Nebula looks pretty cool.
Keen listeners might be thinking, hey, wasn't the Black Nebula where Ego was before?
Yep.
To which I would say, yeah, but now it's something else.
Sure!
Well, it was the Dark Nebula versus the Black Nebula.
Oh yeah, totally different
Oh,
things.
right, because a dark nebula doesn't mean it's a black nebula. They're
Right.
different.
It's different.
One's just dark.
There's just no light there.
The crew is on their way aboard the longship, ready to help Thor complete his quest at long last. However, as they enter I guess it is called the Dark Nebula. I was calling it the Black Nebula the whole time. Maybe I fucking
You,
Mandela-ed that.
or maybe they just don't care enough to, we'll
keep
see.
it consistent. We'll see. Well, as they enter the Dark Nebula, their ship is pinged by someone else's radar.
Pinged? They have
Yeah,
radar?
look.
That's Asgardian radar, okay.
It's not Asgardian. I told you it was someone else's.
Oh, I see what you mean.
3 asteroid miners by the names of Kag, Kalor, and Rothgar.
Kag, Rag, and Brag.
Yep.
Rothgar. So, welcome to Skyrim, everybody.
Who immediately declare the newcomers as raiders. which they have apparently been dealing with for quite some time.
This art looks like there's rising water in the room.
It does.
Keller tries to convince I'm gonna pronounce this guy's name like 5 different ways. Keller tries to convince the other two that this time they should strike first rather than wait to be attacked. The leader, Cag, is reticent, but knowing that they must have time to find the jewel, he eventually agrees. Both of the others go out to meet the approaching vessel after putting on helmets and mounting rocket-powered sleds.
Okay.
Which would work in space.
I love the rocket-powered golf carts.
Mm-hmm. They talk to each other about whether Cag is fit to lead, but ultimately Hrothgar declares that they need him if they're going to find the jewel. Fandral spots the approaching figures, calling out a warning to his compatriots. The miners open fire with laser rifles, but Hrothgar ventures too close, allowing the dashing Fandral to slash at the underside of his sled. Hogan then continues the time-honored tradition of throwing his fucking mace.
You're not getting that back one day. You know that, right?
He needs to keep a bungee cord.
Which breaks the small vessel into pieces and causes the man aboard it to fall into Hildegard's waiting arms.
Wait. He lost his helmet.
Or just like a rope he can hold on to and
well,
grab
they can
once it
breathe
hits.
on the ship.
Oh.
It's magic. Fucking give it the picture, dude.
I assumed... I guess I should have assumed
more
because Silas
importantly-
Grant isn't like a weirdo spaceman.
More importantly, all of these things are making sound effects. And there's a very funny author's note here about it.
Oh.
Doubtless there are those among you who will question the use of a sound effect in airless space. There are, of course, explanations for such an occurrence, but we shall not bore you by relating them.
I like it. It allows you to no-prize it.
Mm-hmm. Thor takes care of the other one in a similar fashion, and now the Asgardians are free to question these fools. First question, why did you shoot at us when we were minding our own business? Second question, where is my girlfriend?
Ever occurred to them that they were attacking a wooden ship in space?
No, I did not. Kaelor says they don't know anything about any women, but Hrothgar hushes him, declaring that the raiders only want to know how many of them are in the mining station so that they can decide when to attack. Hearing this, Thor realizes that there has been some miscommunication, and quickly diffuses the situation. The Asgardians follow the miners back to their base, where Cag greets Odin with reverence.
This is an interesting Odin look.
Yeah.
It's a new fit.
It's subdued.
Yeah.
I really like the idea that with Thor fucking around off-world more and more, space people are just starting to realize that Asgard is there.
Yeah.
Like, I could just imagine aliens in some high-tech spaceport swapping stories about the floating city full of guys who will beat your ass with a sword and shield.
Unless you're an ant, and then they'll
Unless
lose.
you're an ant. It's all the extra fucking legs, man. I just couldn't deal with it.
How do you fight those many legs?
Cag explains the situation to the Allfather. There are many groups of miners in the Black Nebula, but the raiders, who have yet to be named, are targeting them specifically. The attacks have been brutal, taking their operation, which was once 60 men strong, down to only a handful more than you see here. With the Asgardians' help, they could defeat the raiders once and for all, allowing them to pursue their quarry in peace.
Why bother raiding? There's no one to raid.
But hold on a minute, because Thor has something he wants too, and he's not ready to let that go. He will help them if they tell him what they know about Sif. Cag does not recognize the name, and doesn't seem hopeful about being able to find her from the other miners. Hrothgar has an idea, though. The Altarian miners are known to keep slaves for domestic chores.
Ugh.
And he heard one of them bragging about a new girl. Cag still isn't optimistic, but promises to follow up on the lead. Just before he's knocked prone by an explosion on the surface of the asteroid.
Oh no, they
Rip.
exploded Cag, the only guy who knows or doesn't know but was gonna ask.
They are fucking under attack. And who could it be but Mercurio, the 4D man?
Wow, who could it be but fucking Mercurio?
Didn't he go back to his dimension or whatever?
He died.
Yeah, didn't he fucking die?
Yeah, that's right.
Why?
Icy Hot is back. And this time he brought friends.
What? How does he have friends?
Because he came from, he's got his whole planet.
Yes, but...
He and a whole bunch of other guys are just blasting wildly, tearing apart the hunk of space rock to do something,
They're
presumably.
not as good as him because they don't have a red half.
Yeah.
They have no hot.
The Asgardians rush out to see the source of the commotion, where they come face to face with the 4D man, who Thor had thought dead.
Oh, okay, so we're not the only ones confused about this.
He
Cool.
also says that the 4D man is half human, half anti-human.
Whatever the hell that means.
Which is something so nonsensical, I don't even know what to make of it. The groups start fighting, with the Asgardians quickly gaining the upper hand. Not only that, they're also having a whale of a time beating some ass.
Wow. So I guess when it comes to power rankings, the Slavers are more powerful than the Asgardians, or more powerful than Icy Hot's minions.
Fandral the Fair, I prefer Fandral the Dashing.
I do too.
It's much more fun.
Though,
Yeah.
you can hear the alliteration in Fandral the Fair.
Oh yeah. Especially Odin, who is still recovering from the mind-addling drug.
Himbo!
Yeah, Heimdall's there too. He's,
It's just weird having these two here.
I know,
Why
they
is he
don't
not back
usually.
at his job? They dropped everyone off, but Heimdall's not back on the Bifrost.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they just felt bad and they were like, okay, Thor, let's go get your girl.
Well, maybe because they fucked up so bad earlier.
Wait. Sif is Heimdall's sister.
That's true. Sif is Heimdall's sister. I forgot about that.
So this is the first time he's cared about her. Okay.
Hildy is also enjoying herself, but is the only one who gets laid out by these clowns, which is fucking typical.
Because Sif isn't here.
They just can't stand to see a bad bitch winning.
And since Sif isn't here to get bodied...
Right. I mean, if I was going to choose a woman, I would choose Tana.
Mm-hmm.
That one actually tracks. She's not, built for this.
Right.
She's top heavy. You just knock her feet off and kick her in the shin, she'll topple over.
Our three minor friends look upon this situation with cold calculation. Regardless of who should win in this situation, their objective remains the same: obtain and defend the jewel. Under these circumstances, the second part seems even more pressing. Hrothgar doesn't want to betray the Asgardians, but Cag knows that if they understood their purpose, they would join the 4D man in attacking them.
Oh, come on. There's no way Thor would join Icy Hot.
They all run down a passage, speaking vaguely about giving themselves to the jewel, and at the end, they all leap down a mineshaft to their doom.
Sure.
Fucking bye.
Also, I love that there's a fire brazier on the wall of this space
fucking
thing.
the space mine.
In the space mine that has space parts, there's a fire there's just a flame.
An open flame.
An open flame and a brazier just there.
It just happens when you're around the Asgardians.
Sometimes you got space parts, sometimes you got, medieval lighting. Who knows?
Outside, the battle rages on. Thor manages to get Mercurio in a hold long enough to get some kind of an explanation, and well, I really don't understand what's happening on this page. Doesn't make any goddamn sense, and the explanation does not help. So, when Thor encased him in metal, the two halves of Mercurio canceled out, and they thought he died, but he actually teleported, maybe?
No, he says he died. He died. He did.
Well, what the text actually says is that he was thrown to another level of space.
I guess
whatever that means.
Which I can't begin to decipher.
I assume that's just what happens when Icy Hot dies.
He was then sucked into a whirlpool in space.
In that second level of space.
And sent to a destination beyond meager mortal understanding.
But
lazy,
Thor's
out, cheap,
also
bad.
Thor is a god beyond mere mortal comprehension. So
He floated around in this place, wherever the fuck it is, for a long time until he saw a huge red crystal. He heard a ghostly voice say that he may pass, and then as he touched the gem, he was teleported back to his home dimension. Thor declares that the jewel is a dimensional transporter, but Mercurio claims that it is much more than that, and that it has the power to save his home.
And he calls him a blonde hair.
Yep. I mean, at this point, I'm expecting someone to just break out Towhead. We still don't know anything about where he comes from or what the problem is, by the way. Thor makes a logical jump from A to Z, declaring that the gem must exist in all dimensions at once, and that its location in this one is somewhere on this asteroid.
That's a...
Obviously.
Wow. That's a massive leap that I don't know how he got to. Jerry? Jerry!
Thor doesn't know about the fucking jewel, so why...
Right. As he reaches this conclusion, the ground starts to shake and crack apart, admitting an enormous crimson jewel thrusting forth from below the surface. Trapped within the jewel, unable to move, is none other than Sif and Carnilla.
What the fuck?
What the fuck?
An alien voice calls a warning to stay back, declaring that it will use the life force of its captives to conquer this universe, and if Thor takes one step closer, he will be destroyed.
Maybe it makes the teleporting make sense, though, maybe.
But why? Why, Jerry? Why?
What would you guys rate this one?
2? What the fuck?
2? Yeah.
Even the art wasn't as good as some of the stuff we've seen.
I don't know. I like Sal Buscema's art a lot.
But I like the one before it more. Framing is decent, but...
This is not good.
No. Jerry.
I agree. Yeah, it's not great. So, let us carry on.
What?
Zor, spawner of worlds.
To Thor number 215.
I have never heard of this one.
June of 1973. Written by Jerry Conway, penciled by John Buscema, inked by Jim Mooney, colored by Stan Goldberg, letter by John Costanza, and the cover art is also by John Buscema. Though they were duking it out just moments ago, both sides of the battle now stand in shocked silence.
Thor looks like he just got fucking cold cocked.
Yeah. The God Crystal, as we will come to know it, towers above them with two goddesses trapped like mosquitoes in amber.
It looks pretty cool, though.
This page is really cool.
Yeah, that's a decent double page, and they really put it together well. I'm actually impressed with this one.
The three miners are also here, but they have been made thralls of the gem and are not themselves anymore. Cag, the leader, commands the assembled combatants to go down into the mine and stay there as prisoners. Mercurio is like, and what if we don't want to do that, huh? Did you consider that? To which Cag responds, yeah, I did actually, as the jewel starts vibrating, breaking the ground apart and sending them all tumbling into the tunnels below. Everybody passes out on impact, and they only start to awaken an hour later. A full hour later.
Okay, that's not healthy.
The 4D man is ready to offer an alliance, but Thor is resistant to this idea.
See, guys, Thor and Icy Hot really aren't ready to be allies that quick.
All he wants is to rescue Sif, which he thinks is more noble than his enemy's desire to steal the gem. Mercurio reminds him that he needs the jewel to save his entire planet, and together they can achieve both of these things more easily than they can apart.
Yeah, I don't see how refusing to help someone is very noble.
Right.
Yeah.
Above them, the miners are hooking the jewel up to a ship of some kind. Carnilla and Sif watch them do this with helpless remorse, conversing with each other about the developments because they can talk somehow.
Okay.
The God Crystal responds to them, seeking to allay their fears by telling them about its backstory.
What? Okay, Thanos.
So the jewel is actually an entire planet, basically. You might say, oh cool, I bet there's some fun explanation for how that happened. Like, they put their consciousness into the crystal or something. Well, 6 million years ago exactly, the sun that their planet orbited was going supernova. The people on this planet, called Zor, were apparently the evolutionary ancestor for every humanoid race in existence, including humans, Kree, and Skrulls.
I don't believe you.
These people knew their planet was going to be destroyed, so they came up with a bunch of plans, but ultimately decided that their best move was to make some, machines that harnessed the planet's energy, whatever that means, to create a shell of nuclear force, just before the sun exploded.
You know, you can put words together, but they don't necessarily mean anything when you do that.
Because of this, the planet was saved, but the force of the explosion sent it flying through space. Eventually, the movement caused the nuclear shield to contract, compressing the planet and all the people on it into a gem.
That sounds great.
That sounds fatal.
Now that the gem has Carnilla and Sif, they will use their life force to return them to their rightful place in the universe.
You know, they're this advanced race. Why didn't they just leave?
Right. This is really dumb, Jerry, on so many levels.
I can almost
Why
see...
was this the plan that they decided was the best thing to do? How is the gem alive?
I can see what he's trying to go for, and he's really failing the execution.
Well, like I said, the idea of an entire planet of people being inside of a crystal could be cool if you did it well.
This was not done well.
No, this is dumb. Thor and his posse are making their way through the mines, which seem, if I may say so, rather poorly constructed. Like they're walking single file across a ledge over a chasm with no guardrails or anything. This can't be up to code.
They don't even have the tunnels braced. These fucking fools. No railings, no nothing. This is not up to standard.
OSHA is going to hear about this.
Also, Tana tells Silas that colonizers are used to great heights, which is a statement that I cannot comprehend.
Sure.
Sure.
Why not?
Colonizers are used to great.
I'll accept that uncritically, sure. It's just a true fact.
John is losing their mind.
It is just a true fact that colonizers are very comfortable with great heights.
Oh, God.
Jerry just started going downhill so fast, man. Eventually, they find the rest of the miners, because we've met 3, but there were supposed to be more.
They did say there were more. I just assumed we'd never going to meet them, because why do they matter?
There's only a couple of them.
Thor launches a sneak attack, taking some of them out.
Wait, hold on. Are they all enemies?
Yeah, how do you even know they're in on it?
Mercurio uses his ice powers to deal with the rest, but then the asteroid starts shaking again. The Asgardians are quick to blame him, but the 4D man correctly hypothesizes that it's actually the gem and the ship attached to it taking off.
You know, Asgardians have been taking the L pretty
pretty hard lately.
They've taken a lot of L's lately.
The God Jewel flies into space, but our heroes aren't far behind. The crystal throws some rocks at them, somehow.
Yeah, that makes sense. That tracks.
But Thor expertly maneuvers the longship out of the way.
Sure.
They quickly gain speed, and the miners open fire with their turret that shoots anti-molecular rays.
So
I like to think that there's some kind of ridiculous rock music go down in the background, like they're fighting at its highway to the danger zone.
So are Thor and Odin having any kind of anything during all of this?
Yeah, they do, actually.
Because, I mean, talking about their relationship has been kind of,
Silence,
bad.
mortal, 'tis my son who guides this boat. If any can win us free, 'tis Thor.
Are you gonna let him come back fucking home?
Father, wouldst that thou didst have such confidence in me when last we argued? Mayhap many hard words have remained unspoken, and we might face this peril with fewer grim memories behind us.
Because, this story is
'Tis the way of the universe, my son. By such seeming errors do we learn, and do not be deceived, Lord Thor. Even a god may learn.
Yeah, I'll believe it when I see it.
Hey, Odin, I know what kind of dad you are.
Yeah.
No, I'll listen to him, but I will believe him when I see it.
Yeah,
I'll believe it when I see it.
Actions speak louder than words, Odin.
Oh, yeah.
You being here is not good enough.
Heimdall is like, oh fuck, guns! But Thor just throws Mjolnir and destroys it, so it's fine. The Asgardian longship pulls up alongside its quarry, and much like the Vikings who once worshipped them, they prepare to board with weapons drawn.
Although, I suspect the Vikings back then didn't usually board domed alien spaceships.
No shit.
Well, at least they only have to hit it once.
Thor leaps down, crashing through the glass dome encasing the cockpit. Luckily, Kag placed a force field around the ship, so they don't get sucked into the vacuum of space and die.
Okay.
Would have been kind of funny, actually.
The rest follow him and all start fighting, which, I don't know, there are 3 miners, right? While the Asgardians have 8 people, plus Mercurio and however many guys he has, I feel like this shouldn't be much of a fight.
No.
They're really unhappy about the number of L's they've been taking, so
Right.
they really want a W here.
So, unless they're actually ant people in disguise, and then you actually need those, that number.
An Asgardian god's one weakness. Ants.
Yes. Giant ants.
Well, they have one less guy because Thor has a complete one-track mind and flies out to free Sif from the gem.
How does that work?
As he arrives, she warns him that the jewel is draining their life force, and if they aren't freed, they will become one with it. The Thunder God makes ready to smash his way through, but the crystal calls out to him, distracting him for a moment longer.
Damn it.
The will of the gem manifests into a man-shaped rock monster.
We've had...
We have had this before, yes. Declaring that they will realize their destiny and blah blah blah. Thor's not impressed, finding the jewel's people to be arrogant for placing themselves above all others.
Says the Thunder God.
Yeah, but he's not.
True.
He specifically was placed on Earth to learn humility, so...
True. Hey,
just because he's a god doesn't mean he has a god complex.
Thor, tell that to your father
Right.
and your sibling.
Well, I think more Odin, frankly. He's ready to bring the thunder, but the gem has one more important piece of information for him before he does. Back on the ship, our crew is not doing well despite having a huge advantage in numbers.
Maybe they are ant people.
But the miners have guns, which means they can hold everyone back by blasting them repeatedly. Everyone except Odin, anyway.
Who is bulletproof.
Again, do not buy this fucking bullshit against the Asgardians.
Well, Odin has the Odin power.
Yes.
Then why didn't you use it before?
I don't know. So he resists the blast while advancing on Kag. He crushes both the gun and Kag's hand before lifting him up and throwing him in his buddies. The Allfather then retrieves his subjects, making sure that Fandral and Hogun are okay. Fandral feels that there are more pressing concerns, pointing out to the crystal where Thor has stopped his advance. Whatever it told him seems to have done the trick, as he is now convinced that destroying the gem will destroy Sif, and the rest of them too.
Oh. Okay.
So what would you guys rate that one?
Sure.
I'm exhausted too.
What is this?
It's a comic.
I know, but why?
I want to come back from space. Let's stop being in space.
Yeah.
Fuck this shit. Nothing good is happening out here.
This is not Jerry's best work.
I'd say it's some of his worst, actually.
It's pretty bad.
Homestuck.
Homestuck?
His worst work.
Jerry Conway did Homestuck?
That Homestuck-ass comic we read in
Oh.
the second person.
True. True.
No, Jerry Conway did Homestuck. You heard it here first.
He did Homestuck. He was Andrew Hussey the whole time.
Yes.
It's
I
also
just wanna-
shockingly John Bolton.
No fucking way.
Yeah.
I don't believe that at all.
No, it's true. We are all John Bolton, my friends.
No, I'm John Bolton.
Yeah, this is a real low point. But,
Woof. Still better than what we were doing with Stan, but woof.
you know,
It's original. I can say
at least it's over now. Well, I mean, the story isn't over, but we don't have to read these comics again.
that.
Oh, good.
Yay!
Then we can read other comics.
Then we can read other comics of varying quality.
We shall see.
Does he get better? Or
Jerry?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Jerry's pretty good other places. I don't know what happens with Thor.
Maybe he's just the wrong guy for Thor.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't seem to... Well, he gets Thor as a character, but he doesn't get Thor mechanically, I
He
think.
doesn't,
Yeah.
vibe with the god shit enough.
Yeah,
I think he's, at this point, it feels like he's just throwing that out the window.
right.
The character shit's great.
I mean, Thor tends to be really up and down, honestly.
He
I
is
would
hard to
point
write.
out that the other book Jerry Conway was writing was Spider-Man. He's
Yeah.
a much more grounded hero.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thor's hard to write because Thor isn't like Spider-Man.
I do think it's really funny how especially when we're doing these episodes now where we're doing both, how juxtaposed we have fucking X-Men at, like, the height of its, like, writing, and then we have this shit.
Some of arguably the best writing X-Men ever gets.
This shit is going relatively close in time.
Right.
This shit is happening, and I really want to use this to illustrate Chris Claremont was a fucking pioneer.
He was. That's for sure.
The more we dig into Thor in the 70s, the more obvious Chris Claremont is a writer ahead of his time.
Yeah.
But these new guys are good.
They're different.
Better.
Thor, there are definitely some points that Thor gets really good, but I think most of the time Thor's just kind of
doing his thing.
Just kind of out here doing his thing, and you don't really have anything special to say about it, to be honest.
I mean,
you're looking forward to Walt. You're working for Walt.
I am very excited for Walt Simonson. It's going to take us a long time to get there, though.
When does Walt start?
It's all coming up, Walt, baby.
I don't remember exactly. Late 80s. Mid 80s, mid to late 80s.
Mid 80s, I would say.
Yeah.
I don't know when his run starts, but I know when the stuff he showed up is.
Yeah.
Just wanted a rough idea, because it's going to be a bumpy ride until we get to Walt.
It's going to be a while.
Mutant Massacre, I think, was around 86 or 87. He was writing when that happened.
Yeah, so it must be like early to mid 80s.
Yeah.
So we're about 10 years out from that in comic time, which means we're a mere 120-ish issues away.
We've made pretty good progress, though.
Well,
Yeah.
I will say that, see, unlike Stan, this is all new and unique.
Yeah.
Whatever happens, I have no idea what's going to happen next. I kind of knew what was going to happen next, because with Stan, Odin is going to fix it, and it's going to not... and everything that happened won't have mattered.
Fuck it, I'll buckle in for the ride. I mean, this is not a very good ride right now.
But that's the difference between this and Stan. At least
Well,
I don't know how... Odin can't fix this.
This is now like a Midwest theme park. Have you ever done Cedar Point?
I have done Cedar Point.
You know, the theming is just not quite there. They'll try sometimes, but it's just not on point, and they don't maintain the effects, and it's just kind of... I wish you would just do the ride part and stop trying to do the theming, because it's just kind of sad, and this is that ride.
Oh man, has it really gotten that bad in the last 20 years?
They've mostly turned away from a lot of the theming, because a lot of those elements... I mean, for one, it's a constant maintenance thing when you're up here, and they spend that whole off-season on maintenance, but, like, maintaining effects when you could be maintaining and building new rides... They just can't maintain that Disney level of quality where you can keep animatronics and everything going correctly. They're just not there.
Because I haven't been there in a long time.
Back on topic.
No, this is a Cedar Point podcast.
Yes, this is about Cedar Point and Cedar Point topics.
Cedar Point
Back
and
on
Cedar
topic.
Fair Entertainment.
Just to give you guys something to look forward to, we're about a dozen issues away from Avengers vs. Defenders.
Ooh.
I don't recall.
Which is a whole event.
Is it good?
It's something.
It's different.
I've ducked in on it for like one issue, so I know nothing.
And we are less than 10 episodes away from being done with Jerry.
Okay.
Wow.
Wow, I can't believe we're starting another countdown already.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, Jerry doesn't make me angry. He makes me sad.
Yeah.
Because I can feel
He can do better than that.
I can feel the potential in his stories so much more than I could towards the end of Stan's run. Because, frankly, Stan was tapped. He'd done everything.
Of fresh air, but it turns out that the fresh air is coming from a room that was full of stinky farts.
Jerry has good ideas, but they're not really good Thor ideas.
Yeah.
That's that.
That's that. That's all, folks.
That's all, folks!
That was a noise.
Porky Pig, fuck you and die.
Hey,
I
I
see.
recognize what you were doing.
Thank
I
you.
see.
I tried to do it myself.
thought you were
know
trying
you
to
did.
sing
I
a
know you
song.
were here with me.
I was right there with you.
I thought it was a song.
No, Sean got me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's I think that's it for us this week, right?
That is it.
All right.
Woo.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.